Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? It's good to be back doing this. It's one of the highlights of my week. If you are watching live and you've taken time out of your day, thanks very much for joining me. Please do pop in the comments and say hello. It's nice to know I'm not just talking to myself in my little Tottenham shrine. Let's start with I want to use your big brains and your views on our industry. I might have mentioned this before. You've probably seen some of my. Uh, I've used this exercise. It's called the magic wand exercise, but I want to use it for this, which is if you could change one thing about our industry, what would it be? And the whole point of the magic wand is it's without the yeah buts. So, hey Simmer, how you doing? I like my week too. That's very kind. Thanks very much. Good to see you. And we still need to sort out the podcast date, by the way. Yes, James. Huge fan of the Tottenham Shrine. Don't worry. Coys, come on, you Spurs. We don't like the international break, do we? Although Harry Kane scored a great penalty, but we want to get back to the Premier League. So good to have you joining. Thanks very much. Like I say, what I would like to hear from you throughout the show is if you could change one thing about our industry, what would it be? And I think I'll kick us off. Mine would be that our agents, our frontline customer-facing team members, are paid more. It's very simple, but the whole point of the magic wand is there isn't any. Yeah, but you can't do it because of. What would it be? Now let's add that to the ticker. If you could change one thing about our industry, what would it be? So I'm going to be reliant on you guys to come up with some suggestions there, because with your knowledge, I'm sure we're going to come up with some good stuff. Right then, I want to start out with. I haven't done this for a few episodes, but I want to start out with a shout out. So if you have a team out there that you think deserve a shout out, you just want to highlight the great work that they do, please do use me as a means to do that. It doesn't always have to be about awards. So let me just add this, and I want to shout out to the Taite training and quality team. I was lucky enough to go and spend some time with these guys a few weeks ago. The whole Taite operation is really good, actually, really nice vibe. And I got to speak to the training and quality team, and that's Kessie Cook, Steph Clifton, Connor Smith, Rebecca Waterhouse, Vicky Johnston, and Alexandra Vasilenko. And what I loved about these guys is just their passion to deliver quality both for their internal team, but also then for their clients. So they are the training and quality team. Every single one of them, and this is brilliant, every single one of them started on the phones. And isn't that great? Just exactly what we bang on about all the time, that you can have great careers and add real value. You add real value on the phones, of course, but these guys are really committed. They are very committed to not just delivering training through PowerPoint, but to engage with their team members in a way that suits their learning style and delivers real value. So, hi guys, well done, and to everyone at Taite, it's a great operation. Go and check them out. But Kessie, thanks very much for the photo as well. So let's go now to the news. Still no music. Now, BT, I've often featured in the news, not always in a good way. So they as you know, their teams were and are still going to strike actually in October, including 999 call handlers over their salaries and things like that. And as I noted a few weeks ago, it was the first time, I think, in our industry that contact center agents were striking. Now, if I've got that wrong or the news had that wrong, then I would love to hear from you guys who've maybe been around a little bit longer. But this is a real positive news story. So BT did some research and found that half of the over 70-year-olds that did not feel confident using their mobile phones. They were confident in making calls, and that they appreciated that calls were a way of staying in touch with people, friends and family. But for all the other functionality that you have in there on your phone, they didn't feel confident in using it and actually felt quite isolated. And the article, which I will put in my newsletter that will follow tomorrow, all of this content is going to be in my newsletter tomorrow that you can find on LinkedIn. What they also said, of course, was that our society is getting older. So there's going to be a greater percentage of the population sits in this space of over 60s, over 70s. So from a service provider point of view, using our industry to help people in this group is a real positive thing to do. So working on their 2020 group, in 2020, a group of BT and EE employees created Care Home Companions, and that was to make calls to people to help combat loneliness. And naturally and rightly, they felt great pride in delivering the service. And if you think about it, service advisors were using their communication skills to chat to people who didn't have anyone to speak to. And there's a lovely story here. Sorry, so again, it's another kind of one that's football dominated, but BT have teamed up with Sir Geoff Hurst. Now, one of the agents was called Ricky. He made friends with a guy called Bill, made a weekly call to Bill. And if you think when this started during the pandemic and we were unable to leave our houses, especially for the elderly, this became a real challenge. Feelings of isolation, feelings of loneliness. And the Care Home Companion scheme made thousands and thousands and thousands of calls. So they've re-energized that campaign, and you can see here that they made Bill's day by getting Sir Geoff Hurst to ring him, and they commentated the famous line, "They think it's all over, it is now," as Sir Geoff Hurst scored. Ricky and Bill have struck up a friendship. They've continued that all the way through to now, and they have a bond. And I think stories like this are often lost in our industry. So well done, BT and EE, and all the employees that are involved in that scheme. So no comments yet on if you could change one thing. So Simmer and James, what do you think? What would you change? You're the only guys that have commented so far. I'd love to hear from you. But that is the news, and a positive news story. So that's good. Danny, I was wondering where you were. I feel better now. I feel relieved. Apologies, slightly late. Here for the catch up and the puns. Well, there better be some puns straight away. Danny, what would you do? What if you could change one thing about our industry? What would it be? So let me share a tip I've put together. What would you add to this as well? So I was thinking about 4 things to avoid as a new team leader. The reason it's 4 is because I was dictated to by the space that I had for putting the image together. It's no other reason than that. I'm not going to flower it up as something it's not. So Simmer on the ticker is saying, I was going to say pay 2, so I'm thinking of an alternative now. But well, it's good that we're thinking the same, isn't it? Increase our frontline advisors' pay. Right, let's get back to this. As a new team leader, I thought I'm going to share the benefits of my experience, and both personally, but also when I manage team leaders. These were four things that I saw a lot, and that is, I hope if you avoid them, you can be a better, happier leader in a shorter space of time. That kind of speed to competency. The first one is to resist the urge to be authoritarian. I saw it time and time again where sometimes new leaders, they think, right, now I have the title of team leader, I suddenly have to be authoritarian and don't do this, don't do that. And you could see their team members around them thinking, this person's changed their personality. You don't have to become like a sergeant major to ask people to do things or to lead. Just be yourself. Okay, Danny's been hammering away on his typewriter. Good question. Thank you, Danny. I would like for all organisations to know why they exist, the difference they make in the world, so that they can align all their activities, decision making, behaviours, culture, and performance to that purpose. Great comment. Great comment. And Danny is all about culture. I was thinking about this the other day, actually. I nearly included it in this, that I like the Stoics philosophy, and one of the things that came from then is, I'm going off on a tangent now, but there was a general who the other generals were jealous of, so they made him chieftain of the sewers, and that was to humiliate him. And it was him that coined the phrase, if you to be good at anything is to be good at is everything. So he just made this the best. He was the best leader of the sewers ever. He made the sewers brilliant. He made it a position of prestige even. And it made me think about the job we all do, or the job that agents are doing on the phones, that add in real value every single day. Every customer they speak to, they are making a difference to. They're doing something positive in someone's life. And it just made me think about that we don't do enough of those types of things where we're telling people, to Danny's point, why the company exists, what they do. Long live the notifications. Thanks, Mahood. Not quite sure I follow. Could you clarify that, please, mate? Example, we put the customer at the heart of everything we do, then prioritize product development that does not improve the customer experience because it makes revenue. Very true. Right. You can see the other ones here. So I've got avoid worrying that you don't have all the answers. Again, I think as a new team leader, you have an expectation, or you believe other people have the expectation that you should know everything. You've probably been promoted because you have a good level of knowledge, but it doesn't equally, you could be promoted brand new. I think you can come into a company brand new and still be an effective leader. You don't need to know everything. No one expects you to know everything. It doesn't determine whether you are a good leader or not if you don't know in infinite detail the answers to everything. It would be weird if you did. Providing better employee care and secondary benefits towards CC agents and the current flat rate salary. Very good point, Mahmood. Thank you. Here he is, Yoda. Great graphic and value, Mr. T. I would say don't forget what you've learned being on the phones. Keep listening first. New position, but same lessons as you are still dealing with people. Really, really good point. 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? Use them in that order. Another thing I've seen with new team leaders is they get the job to lead 15 people and then spend their head down at their desk, burying themselves in admin and completion of reports, focusing too much on KPIs and results, and all around them, their people are just waiting for their support, coaching, leadership. So you're in the role as a leader of people, not paperwork. You can use KPIs to make your people interactions more meaningful. They're a source of information to help direct your activity, but time with your team and helping them is the most important thing. Now I see, Mahmood. I meant long live the notifications. Almost missed the call. Don't worry though; they're always recorded, aren't they? So you can watch them back. But the interaction kind of makes it a lot better, doesn't it? And it's also on YouTube. But thank you very much. I understand now. Now, over promising to gain popularity, again, something else I've seen new team leaders do that doesn't actually help them, and that is you come in, you know the gripes that people have, and I'm not saying that you don't share them up the chain and you don't use your new influence, your increased influence to try and make a positive difference, but be careful what you promise. You're not a union rep. You're not. You might not be able to change things, and then it can undermine you that you've said, "I'm going to change X, Y, and Z." And I guess more importantly, especially when we see it in quality, is without applying thought, you just say you're going to overturn every chat. Oh, excuse me. You're just going to overturn everything without thought. Sometimes you're going to have to say no to your team, and this kind of desire to be popular by getting things done isn't always the best way forward. Right. I've got some comments to catch up on. Hang on. Here we go. So he's going to make an appearance in a second, but Peter, hello, mate. I would change how the industry is perceived by the general public, not with a magic wand, but by transforming to deliver better CSX, by supporting operations instead of rolling our eyes at the cost, by making every job in a contact center valued and a viable career option. There can't have been many better written comments than that. That's brilliant. That is, Pete. Absolutely brilliant. Hey Barry, how you doing? Thanks for the support of the job seekers as well. You're a legend. We still need to change the perception of it being a stopgap and work on everyone knowing it's a career. Again, echoing the good point there by Pete, but spot on, Barry. Barry Cooper facts. That could be a section in this show, maybe. Simmer. Promote, create more awareness around our success stories. More so that advisors can see our industry as a viable and lucrative industry and not a stopgap. This is great stuff. We need to, maybe this can be a common theme. Maybe the only news that I share will be good news or at least thought-provoking. I felt the biggest issue as TL in bigger BPOs is a promise you want to make, and organisation-wise it cannot be done to some budget issue. The policies and procedures are too rigid. Very true. Thanks very much. It's a big move from frontline transactional role to managing. Many first-line managers remain task-oriented rather than realising that they're there to enable the success of their people. That's a triple hit. There combo. That's what you're here for, Danny. Always keeping us on our toes. You know what? I think I did well as a team leader because I much preferred just wandering around chatting to people. It didn't always suit some of my managers, different ones I had. But my team, I know, appreciated me just being around, being supportive, coaching them, communicating with them. And that was often to the detriment of the completion of tasks that you were given. You're very welcome. Thanks for doing them. That's the Job Seekers post. Please do check them out. There's a lot of people from our industry there. Okay. I now, again, Simmer, to your point around a positive impact of our industry. Let me tell you about, this is kind of like an event to look out for. Do you remember, I did a podcast with Irina, a friend of mine who is the president of the Ukrainian Contact Center Association. Did a podcast with her while she was in Ukraine, whilst bombs were going off in the background. You can hear it on the recording. From then, I spoke to Neris Caulfield. Neris is a great person to follow, by the way. Great advocate of all the good that's in our industry. And with all of your help, everyone here that's commenting as well, we raised £13,500 that enabled 100 contact center agents in Ukraine to provide much needed humanitarian guidance and assistance to civilians looking to escape the conflict. Now, they still need your help, and there's a great webinar that the Xers have asked Neris to host, and it is about the hidden potential for outsourcing in the Ukraine. A lot of their contact centers are either in areas that are not affected by the conflict, or they are Ukrainian multilingual speakers based in other parts of Europe, and us supporting them from a purely above board kind of based on merit kind of way. You know, before the conflict, Ukraine was becoming a real center for a consideration, at least, of where you might put activity, because multilingual, cutting edge technology, and of course the cost, that still remains the case. And what better place to put your business if you have got something to outsource than the Ukraine? So there's a webinar on the 17th of October, 12 till 1. It's hosted by Neris. It will have Irina and I think one of the people that we had on the follow-up podcast. So please do make a note in your diaries to get behind that and support it. Got another Barry here. We need to make our people heard. You said we did is a great way to let them know we're listening to our frontline teams. Very, very true. I know everyone is doing surveys and pulse surveys, and you said we did that. I think that's drummed into senior leaders now, but we need to do more. We should never stop. Okay. I mentioned him earlier. He came up with a great answer to the question, what could you do? But I just want to share another gem, a quality gem from Peter, who is the most knowledgeable, hardest working person in quality. That is a fact. Now, one of the things we often get asked is about quality frameworks. Now, Pete has put together, with the help of lots of people within BPA, what they consider the 12 most critical success factors. Now, if you just screenshot this, and it will be in the newsletter, like I say, you can talk to each one of these 12. If you can do that, you have a very, very comprehensive quality framework, even if one of them is non-applicable. But you should be able to pass something like this to someone that comes into your company to say, can you tell me about your quality setup and how you undertake quality? And this is a really good way of doing it. Pete is always open to chat about it more at length. And also, if you agree, disagree, want some amends to the 12, it's often a source of conversation within BPA. Okay. Danny is he wants a soapbox. What's he saying? I think the phrase you said we did just semantically reinforces that there's a division between the coalface and management. Very true. That's enlightened thinking. I'm kind of with you. Do you know what, Danny? I'd like your view on something. I've had a long held belief that I don't like the phrase agents, because it's often it's just agents. And I think agents kind of demeans the role. I've always preferred us to use better phrases. What do you think? Oh, mate, you say the nicest things. This is true, Peter. Okay. So, a little quick reminder. Is there anything else you'd add to these? You can see this encompasses everything that you should have when it comes to your quality framework. So I'm sure you'd agree it's helpful. If there's anything you'd add, speak to this guy here. I'm just an agent. Yes, I agree. We need to come up with something else. You know, vocabulary and words develop meaning, connotation, and that is a true influence of of culture, but there's no one better on culture than Danny. So I've learned a lot from a lot of what you've posted, Danny. Thanks very much. Okay. I have something else to let you guys know. Are you going to the expo? Because this guy's going to be talking there. On the 22nd, Keynote Theatre, no less. I've made it. At 2:45. Now, luckily, it's been changed. It was going to be the 23rd. Now, of course, the 22nd, for those of you that are all over your calendars, the 22nd is the night of the EXA, the European Contact Centre and Customer Service Awards dinner. I was due to be speaking the day after. That would have been painful for everyone. I would have been sweating. Beer probably. Now, so luckily it's been moved. I'm now on the 22nd, the Magic Weekend. It is not going to be about a weekend when Spurs win and Arsenal lose, or a weekend in Amsterdam. It's not going to be anything like that. The Magic Weekend is going to be from what we've been speaking about today a little bit, is the transition from being a team member to a team leader. And it's because on a Friday you get told you've got the job of team leader, and on Monday there's been a magical weekend, and suddenly you have all the skills to be able to lead 15 people. You've undergone the magic weekend, developed all these leadership skills, and you know what you're doing. Of course, that doesn't happen, but I haven't properly fleshed it out yet. I will be doing some prep. I'm not going to leave it to the last minute. It would be great if you are in London. Even if you don't come and see me, I'll be there both days. It would be lovely to get together and see you in person. Yes, Dan. Good to see you, mate, or hear from you. Yes, see you there. Brilliant. Oh, it's come up LinkedIn user again. You're going to have to let me know. Please do add another comment to say who you are. True, Danny, agree. It should be a norm, not a phrase or a tool in that way. We need teams to know it's an always, and we're one. Very true. And this was a point about the surveys. Simmer. We use advisors because we believe to deliver true great CX, it needs to come within the organization, top down. So we need to truly see our people first. Agent has a connotation of no personality, no emotion. Think 007. When in fact everything about a front line thrives on emotional intelligence and personality. Is very true. Think about that as well, just kind of delivering your personality on every single call. It's a real challenge, and then we kind of demean them a little bit by saying you're just an agent. Almost all other non-agent role names are descriptive. Customer experience manager, we can be just as descriptive with frontline roles. Customer experience advisor, customer journey advisor, or we can make them role neutral, colleague, etc. Much like John Lewis, isn't it? They've always had that for their whole history. Again, really good point. Our ticket's still available. I will fly over if it won't cost a kidney and a rib. Mahmood, it is tickets are free, I believe. I'm pretty sure they are. Challenge is that we do let labels define us psychologically, which is why there's so much pushback on calling frontline managers account manager, business development manager, when they're just as descriptive and accurate. You are managing their account for what they call web chat. Me and Pete have been talking about this. How often does your job role with the name relate to what you actually do anymore? It's unlikely, isn't it? I don't even know what my title is sometimes. Customer support expert sounds better than agent or advisor, but if the role is still about keeping your head down to get the calls answered instead of being empowered and professional, then the title doesn't matter. Very, very true. We're coming to the end of the half hour. I love how your comments have taken us on a really, really interesting tangent. Thank you so much for for getting involved. You make this 100 times better than if it was just me waffling. Thank you all very much. I wanted to end actually with a quote. I can't attribute it to anyone. It didn't have anyone's name alongside it, but I saw it and I just wanted to share it. Don't stay in a place emotionally or mentally that you left physically years ago. And I just felt the need to, via this medium, share that because I think that's kind of beautiful. And I added it to a C scene. Don't stay in a place emotionally or mentally that you left physically years ago. As a contractor, I don't use a role title at all. Doesn't change the value of what I deliver. I think anyone, Danny, you just need your name, right? Everyone knows that you bring quality. We need longer sessions, Martin. Love this. Well, come the new year, that may be true. That may be happening. So be careful what you wish for. Pete Dunn and Expert Primes that knowledge management and development is important in that role. Labels can help massively in moving culture. Old keys don't open new doors. Yeah, love it. Love it. So, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe on YouTube. I want to inch my way up to 100 subscribers. I don't know why. It's just a nice number. Thank you so much. I've loved it. I've loved listening to reading your comments, and you guys are brilliant. Thank you very much, and see you in 2 weeks. Every other week we'll do this, but all of this content will be in the newsletter that I will publish tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.